and welcome back to Trauma Talks with Krystal Boothe. If you're new here, I'm all about empowering you on your journey towards emotional well-being, mental clarity, and healing. In today's video, we'll dive deep into topics that many of you have probably asked yourself: therapy versus self-help. Which works better? With so many resources available, it can be hard to figure out the best approach for your mental health. So let's break it down and see what's the best fit for you. Now, before we dive deeper into this comparison, therapy versus self-help, I want to share a little bit about my own personal journey to help you get some clarity on what could possibly help with you. I've been in this field for over 17 years, helping people heal, but my own healing journey was not always smooth. As a matter of fact, it was quite stale for quite a while, unfortunately, for many years. When I first began to face my own trauma and emotional struggles, I felt like I should be able to just handle things on my own. I turned to self-help books and podcasts and things like that, because that at the time it seemed like it was the quickest, most accessible way for me to solve and to get some solutions. And don't get me wrong, these resources gave me some solid tools and education around mindset shifts and ways to manage stress on the surface. However, as I continued to dig deeper into my emotions, I realized something very important, that self-help could only take me so far. And there were patterns and deeply buried feelings that I just couldn't navigate on my own. That's when I turned to therapy. It was a game changer. When I went to school at USC, that's when I got therapy. And I was working with therapists that gave me space to truly process my trauma and understand why I felt the way that I did. And I started to breaking things down a little bit smaller. And I started to get over some of the barriers therapy that the other self-help books just didn't offer those tools. It helped me to uncover some of the roots of my struggles, which was a trauma, childhood trauma, and gave me insight into the what I needed to truly heal and get to the root of the problem. It wasn't easy. Therapy forced me to face a lot of parts of myself that I honestly was avoiding for many years, but the guidance of my therapist, I was able to transform that pain into power. And that's something self-help alone just couldn't do for me. So from my personal experience, I can tell you this: self-help is a wonderful, empowering, accessible, and helpful for general well-being. But when you're trying to go deeper into your emotional wounds, therapy is invaluable tool, in my opinion. That's why I believe for many of us, combining the two is the key to sustainable healing. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here, since I promise you to be honest and comparing the two methods of healing for you today. So let's get started today. Okay, so let's compare therapy versus self-help. That's what we're here for, right? So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be with us. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe so you can get more content like this. Now that I've shared a bit about my own journey, let's talk about the comparison. Okay, understanding therapy. First, let's understand therapy. First, let's talk about therapy. Therapy is a professional and structured approach to healing, whereas a person is trained as a mental health provider, and like therapists, counselors help you, guide you through personal challenges. Basically, they help you unpack your bags of all the painful memories so that you can get some clarity and some healing. And they also give you some tools to address those things. There's various types of therapy, such as cognitive behavior therapy, psychodynamic therapy, person-centered therapy, and so many more. Somatic therapy, which is one of the ones that I use. And each different approach is geared towards helping you process difficult emotions, heal from past trauma, and gain new insight into your behaviors. So the pros of therapy is personalized guidance. That's the number one thing. The therapist tailors the session specifically to your needs and can adjust their approach as you grow. So that's the big, huge plus on there. Then they'll give you the expert knowledge. The therapist has years of training and clinical experience that allow them to see patterns and offer you strategies that you might not be aware of. So that's number two. And then Also, there's a safe space. It's the element of having a safe space. It provides you a non-judgmental, confidential environment where you can openly discuss your feelings, thoughts, and struggles. However, therapy can also require a lot of commitment and often involves financial investment, which many may not have access to. Which is why I started this channel, because I wanted to give people opportunity to heal who may not be able to quite start therapy just yet. But number two, let's just talk about understanding self-help. Now let's turn to self-help, like referring to books and things like that, online resources, apps, self-guided practices to work on your mental health, emotional well-being, and or just for personal growth. So self-help often focuses on concepts like positive thinking, setting boundaries, building healthy habits, practicing mindfulness, maybe even some somatic treatment modalities, which these can be extremely beneficial. They rely on you taking the lead in your own healing process, and not everybody has that ability to do that, but that's what they primarily do. So some of the pros of self-help is there so many self-help tools that are free, low-cost books, podcasts, apps, videos that make mental health support available to everyone, which is one of the things that I really like about self-help. You can work through self-help content at your own pace, which is really a big plus, and in the comfort of your own home, which is very important. A lot of people want to do things in the privacy of their home. They feel safe. Self-help is very empowering and encourage you to take charge of your healing, which can be a very empowering experience. But just like therapy, self-help has limitations. Without professional support, you may miss important insight or face challenges in working through deeper emotional issues, sort of like me,